Welcome to the Prime Health Podcast with your host, Dr. Derek Barron. Dr. Barron interviews doctors, wellness experts, and healthcare leaders who are revolutionizing how we approach health and longevity. The Prime Health Podcast explores breakthrough science, personal and patient stories, and practical insights that are shaping the future of health and wellness. So sit back, listen in, and prepare to transform how you think about your path towards Prime Health with Dr. Barron and his special guest.
Welcome back to the Prime Health Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Derek Barron, and I'm here to bring you cutting-edge insights and practical strategies from leading healthcare experts for your journey to prime health in life and in business. Now, in regarding our guest today, it's an extremely interesting topic. But think of this, in a world of aggressive, high-risk muscle technologies, one approach stands apart. Elliot Raj, our guest today, the CEO of Muscle Delta Therapy Robot, explains how robotic, non-invasive, deep muscular therapy is quietly changing what safe, effective muscle care actually looks like and what the difference matters, why more than most people truly realize. So just like you, I'm excited to learn more about this myself. But before we jump into the episode, just a quick message from our sponsor, Grow Solutions, where we help and believe every healthcare professional deserves exceptional growth partners to match their ambition and reach their potential. Grow Solutions eliminates stressors in business such as new patient and client acquisition, marketing and growth strategies, reaching that person you really want to know about your product or service, reducing operational chaos with proven systems and frameworks, and then understanding AI systems and those robots, not quite the one that the muscle robot we're talking about, the AI robots that are coming, whether we like it or not. So if you ever thought this, I'm too busy to grow, too slow to scale, or too overwhelmed to fix it, we could be your solution. Just drop the word grow below, and or you can feel free to DM me on any platform out there. But you're here for a reason, and that is to learn about our guest and his product. Elliot, welcome to the Prime Health Podcast, and please tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Thank you so much, Derek. I'm so happy to be here and to allow us to have this platform to really improve people's lives. And that's really the driving force behind, my involvement and my passion to do this and to really work on this product for over a decade to bring it to where it's at and to vet it. So I'm just very thankful for the opportunity today. Really.
Absolutely. My pleasure. So Elliot, we talked before, you've got a very interesting or unique history about how you come into this, but I've got to ask, was there a moment in life or was there a reason that you chose this career in medicine and I guess medical devices?
Yes, sir. Yeah. So I've been involved in technology in my family. My father was very much involved in computer technology and was an entrepreneur. And I was exposed to all this throughout my life, and it gave me a lot of insight into all these different ways that you can apply technology. So I've done that throughout my life. But what really got me into medical was my own problems that I was experiencing, muscular problems, and they weren't being solved with traditional means. And what I mean by that is some chiropractic adjustments, just going to doctors, and really when you're dealing with like nerve discomfort and different muscular things, doctors don't necessarily have a lot of tools to help you with that. They do have medicines, and of course, I was at the point where I was considering that because, my discomfort, my feeling of what I would call wellness was not good. And when you're not getting help and when you don't really understand what's going on, it's really a feeling of helplessness too. So that kind of, and when your nerves are starting to affect and, you have this helplessness and this feeling of just unwellness, what's going on? And I'm at that point, I'm not even 50 yet. And I'm feeling like this is the rest of my life. How am I going to do this? And, in my case, we're talking about, which everybody does, is the neck starts as we shorten muscles and our alignment becomes improper. And there's a lot of other things that are affected with that tightness, blood flow and hydration and so on. So, but I was feeling a lot of things we all have our sort of areas where we're going to suffer muscularly because we have habits, genetics, our sex, or just our age, all these different factors. So we're all different. We say every body is different,
Right.
There's no set way, and we have different goals. Tom Brady's got a goal to be the very best quarterback in the world, over a period of years, and he's going to uncover every rock, that needs to be done to ensure that he can do that. And whereas, our grandmother, she may have completely different goals, and that includes, into diet and all this kind of stuff. So we try to make sure that we're talking, to a person, a specific person when we're doing this, and we're all different. But in my case, I had, the standard stuff, hip, neck, and it was coming out in a lot of different ways. It was negatively affecting my life. And so I started to learn about muscles, and I got involved with some very knowledgeable people, and we were able to start treating. And it's amazing that a lot of times it's only a few muscles that need the deep therapy, and you get this amazing relief. And in my case, we're talking about, and a lot of people experience the pain and the discomfort in the shoulders, the back, in the hips. All the muscles that we treated on me were either on my side or on the front, and releasing those and allowing things to go back into a normal state. So I was amazed that, like, I would have taken fibromyalgia pills at that time for my shoulder. I was at that point, like, if you give me something that could make this tension and feeling go away. And we never treated my shoulders at all, but it was carrying a lot of this coming down through the body. And, so, but when I was recovered through basically 18 months of, dealing with some muscles, 15 years later, I am 64 years old now, and I feel, my head is back. I'm able to, my muscles still can tighten, and they will shorten and tighten, but I know what to do now. I'm not lost. I'm not running around seeking, like, what can I do? And I'll try anything and all this. I know it's a few muscles. You lengthen them through non-invasive pressure properly, and immediately you get relief. We can see patients laying on a table who have tight, pec minors that pull the scapula forward. We see them laying on a table, and we have to lower the machine down inches, because while they're doing this, things start to immediately go back into the proper alignment. So it's just amazing. And it's not just those muscles, but it appears, which is hard to quantify, but what's going on with muscular health, with the nerves, the joints, the hydration, it affects so many other things, so that I can just tell you, with no medicine, and I've exercised, of course, but I didn't need that. We can do this with just pressure. So somebody who's having trouble with exercise, injured, older, whatever, they can benefit from this. So my story was that's how I found it, and I became so passionate about automating this and taking this methodology, into the world, and that's what we're trying to do now. So we've got a very nice device that it really is wonderful at doing that.
Yeah. It usually does happen to us when something affects us personally, a family member, a friend. That's what gets the entrepreneur mind going, trying to say, okay, what can I do to solve that problem for this person? So unfortunately, you had a problem, but fortunately for you, you found a resolution to it. Now they can help a bunch of other people. So I want to really dive into, what is the Muscle Delta myofascial robot, and how is it, like, tell us what it is, and then what is it, how is it different from other of, like, manual modalities?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it's a mechanical device that uses pressure non-invasively, can be over the clothing, and, and again, some of the things that we see with derma. So for instance, I was in a clinic where we were demonstrating this, a very large clinic, 900 locations, and we were setting up the robots, and I'm watching somebody do what they call scraping. And, they were doing it on areas that we don't necessarily treat that much, number one. So it was the wrong area in our opinion, but the level of what I would call invasiveness into the derma while that was going on, if you had a dermatologist looking at it, they'd be like, if you have another way of doing that, don't do that, because, a lot of people have sensitive skin, and it was very aggressive and very deep. And I just thought, wow, we don't ever do it. Number one, it's kind of in the wrong area, but number two, like, it's just upsetting systems that don't need to be upset. So that's the least invasive of the other modalities that we're talking, when you're mentioning things like class 4 lasers and stuff that are a completely different level to that. But even just the manual modalities, number one, it takes a lot of labor from the person to do that. They got to treat the right muscles. And what we saw was just a huge amount of what I would call just invasiveness into derma. So we try to, number one, it's a methodology where we're looking for the specific muscles. And just a very quick story on athletes. The quarterback came to us from the New Orleans Saints. This is quite a few years ago, but he couldn't touch the ceiling. he has the best trainers and so on. And he couldn't figure out what's going on. It's getting worse and worse. It's declining. The performance is declining, pain's increasing. And we find two muscles, anterior serratus and the top shoulder muscle. And we go into there, and within 2 hours, he stands up, touches the ceiling and says, no effing way. Like, what did you guys do? Like, what is going on? I mean, really? And I mean, and no invasive, just some pressure, you know, but selecting the correct muscles. And so it's very interesting that the trainers that were training them, why aren't they finding these muscles? So it's not just the process that or the technology that we use, it's the identification of the process. And we've included some things in the product that really assist that. And what that is so we have categories that they can search very quickly in terms of if it's a range of motion in the shoulder, flexion or extension. We give them the list of muscles. So you have no more excuse of why you didn't like look at the proper muscle. Like, the list is there. It could be, 15, 20 muscles, depending on the situation, but sometimes it's 2 or 3, but we definitely give a clear, path of like, okay, just let's make sure we're looking at the right things. Number one.
Yeah. Elliot, if I can ask you real quick on that, are you stating that your device does almost like it helps with diagnosis first and then treatment?
Yes, because diagnosis is such a critical part of this. So, we just see over and over that in physical therapy offices where people come in with back and shoulder, and they spend a lot of time rubbing and treating the back. And we know that that's the symptom. When I go like this, it's pulling everything. And if I just live like that, it's pulling those muscles so hard that if I treat that, I'm making it worse. I'm elongating the incorrect muscles and allowing the shortened muscles to pull even harder. So I could be worsening, and we think they are worsening it. And I see it going on all the time. So we have number one is the method of understanding, what's going on. Why is someone bent over like that? The only reason is the short muscles in the front are pulling. That is the only reason. It's not because bones can deform long enough if you do that. But, the only reason they're walking like that is all the short muscles on the front, not on the back. It hurts on the back. The front probably doesn't hurt at all. They're like, my back is constantly hurting. My shoulders are hurting. I have pain, fibromyalgia, nerve stuff, whatever's going on. So we have, number one, we try to identify the correct muscles, but it's a little trickier than that, because even in the shoulder, a lot of people don't think of anterior serratus, which is on the rib cage, as a potential culprit, but it is involved in flexion and extension of the shoulder. And we find it to be in a negative state a lot of times when people are having, because we're right-handed or whatever's going on, it just gets overused. I saw a therapist just in the clinic the other day at the 900 clinics that she says, okay, well, I have this pain in the middle of my back, and I palpate the serratus, and it's like a cable, and I see her the next day doing, I go in there to work on something, and she's doing manual labor like this, to helping someone, and that's why her side, and it's showing up in the middle of the back, has nothing to do with the middle of the back. So we've got to identify the correct muscles. So we have a tool that allows the assessor. Now the treater doesn't need to know anything about this. They just know, hey, doctor told me treat this muscle for 10 minutes. And we have a way of showing them where the muscle, in case they don't know, there's a database. They look up the muscle. When they're treating it, there's a little eye, it shows an image of it, the origin, insertion, and so on, innervation. So they, in case they want a reference, it's right there. But typically they're treating a lot of the same muscles, the 80-20 rule. So they get into that, but the assessor is the one that has to set up the stage properly. They've got to identify the correct muscles and write the treatment plan to deal with those. And so that's a little bit of a challenge for us. And, they just want to keep kind of going back to the comfort. We're just like, no, we got to almost flip this, because a lot of it's in the front, but so that's a minor thing, but the tool is very strong in helping not only, so we have groups too, like golfer group. If somebody wants to, and so there's some subgroups in that, depending on where they're seeing some limitations and flexibility. So we, again, help them, give them a list of okay, let's examine, and through examination is how we find the muscle. So it takes a very skilled person to palpate and go, okay, I can feel the abnormality, and the patient's going to give me feedback on some pain indicator. So we know we're kind of going in the right direction. But we know from years of this that we know we're absolutely in the right direction. You just got to find the correct ones and then create a treatment plan to address those.
Okay, so the assessor is doing it manually to find it. Does your device also help with that?
No, because right now I don't think technology is at the point where you could have some fingers come out. I mean, there are stuff out there, but it would be so ungodly expensive and probably would break and this and that. So whereas a very skilled person can easily, once they are thinking the right way, find those, okay, there's 10 muscles that could possibly hit. Let's look at them. Let's feel. Let's go in there and palpate, find out for sure what's going on, and then we'll treat those, because some of them are going to be a little worse. Again, it's the person, the sex, their sport that they do, the way they work, that's going to exasperate different muscles in people. So we can't just say shoulder pain is this, it's got to be looked at.
Okay. So if somebody comes in, the doctor may have given the physical therapist a script that says they have rotator cuff tendonitis. A therapist will, follow their typical protocol, but you're saying, hey, we want you to analyze these 10 muscles. It may be different for that diagnosis. I'm just saying, we want you to analyze these 10 muscles. We find 3 of them have issues. Then your device comes into play that says, if it's these 3 muscles that are the problem, set our device up so that it will then treat and do its manual work on the patient.
Specific muscles, and it's very targeted, so if you watch a video that's out on Facebook for Tom Brady being treated by Alex Guerrero at his house, and because he makes movies and stuff about this, you'll see Alex shaking his leg really hard, very aggressive treatment. And it's not really targeted to a specific muscle. And if you took grandma and did that, you might rip her leg off. So you can't really treat everybody like that. So what we want to do is find which muscle is it on grandma's leg specifically that needs, and then we're going to specifically attack that muscle in a very precise and methodical way that makes the treatment comfortable and effective, very effective. Like we literally will watch muscles, change their consistency while we're treating. We'll see the bodies move, because when you start with this thing pressed against somebody and all of a sudden you look back and it's a ½ inch different, that's the muscle and the body changing. Our device didn't move around. There's that big of a gap already so we keep, we want to maximize treatment. So we keep putting it closer to the body and make sure that they're getting as much touch as they can. But we're seeing this change happen right in front of us, which is what we want.
That's great. And I'll make sure we share the link to your website so people can truly see the device, because it's amazing on what it looks like. So as you made a statement there, Elliot, you said either Tom Brady or grandma. So basically is there a limitation to the condition, the diagnosis, or the individual? So you can see grandmas to grandkids as long as it's a muscle injury of some sort.
Absolutely. And that's so our pressures go from what we would call osteopathic pressure. So 1 and 2 are so light that, sometimes on the head, or just an elderly patient that is just so, distraught with nerve, problems they can't really take. And again, the hand, that's one of the big differences. So if I'm going to touch someone in the hand, my pressure is going to change continuously. Even my breathing is going to change. And that's going to change the comfort level for that patient. So we see people come in elderly with SCM and it's very tender. And I couldn't really treat deeply with my hand. It would be uncomfortable. But I can put this and set it to the proper pressure, and then they're comfortable, and then they're asking for more pressure, because it's working, and they can get in there, and now it's going in and it's changing, and they stand up and they turn their head and they look at the current PT and they're like, my neck's never done that. Like, oh my gosh, it's that immediate. So in the comfort at night, if people aren't sleeping because of the shoulder, the things that we do are just so immediate in some of the outputs. But so the age is, again, it's not really set up but if pediatrics, it's very safe because, again, these pressures controlled. We have the treatment head that's modular, so we can make it any size to the muscle, a big, giant hamstring on a pro football player to like a tiny, place in piriformis that we're trying to get into or something like that. So, and it's quick modular. It's just, you slide them on and off. They attach with a magnet. So it's very quick to make the changes. And so whether it's an elite athlete, but the key is, finding the right muscle and then treating, that. So I would say a big potential patient base is, between 40 and 60, where we're really starting to see this lifetime of buildup of shortening of muscles, and there's one other thing that I would like to say about shortened muscles is that, athletic trainers, a lot of them will tell you, you can exercise out of anything, right? You don't really need that. You can exercise, but no, when you have a injury from shortened or from overuse or inactivity, the really only way to lengthen that muscle is to manually get in there some way and lengthen it. That's the safest way too. I mean, I don't know if you want to take a very high level laser and try to lengthen a muscle. I mean, it's a little risky. I don't know. There's a lot going on there, and it's not really effective. It's just old school manual therapy. That's what works and is safe. But we have a machine that helps you so that you don't have to do it, and it's way more precise and it's comfortable for every patient to endure.
Yeah. So when you just brought up something to think about when you said it's old school manual therapy. So back in the day, there's trigger point therapy or pneumoreceptor technique, which is basically somebody doing digital work where they take their thumb, their finger, and they drive it into that muscle belly. They find the trigger point, they hold it there, and they hope it relaxes. The device you have is different in the fact that it's using mechanics. It's using an input device that puts that pressure on, and it knows the amount of pressure that has to go over time, and it doesn't get tired. It doesn't get sore. It works every day.
And it does attempt to keep going deeper and deeper as the muscle gives, and that pressure thing, it's good for two reasons. Number one is that a comfort level for somebody who's really in distress, it's just more comfortable because it's going to be consistent. I'm not going to accidentally exceed the pain threshold of the person with my hand. It's going to keep being in that comfort zone until they ask for more, which they're going to. So, yeah. And then the next thing is that the repetition, the precision and timing of this device has, and it's hard to quantify, there is some lower brain, meditational aspect of this. When they're relaxing while it's just treating this exact same way, the brain is able to go, oh, okay, I see, the lower brain, this is not fight or flight, this is not anything, I can just relax and let this happen because it's good, and so it's hard to quantify, but we know that is absolutely happening.
Okay. So Elliot, for the people that are watching or listening, I'm a chiropractor. I don't practice anymore. My wife is a physical therapist. She doesn't practice anymore. But for those that are listening, who is like your end user? There's clinics, there's, hospitals potentially, but who does it typically go in the hands of? Physical therapists, chiropractors, massage therapists? Who are you looking to put this into their clinic?
Well, the perfect world is the people that fully embrace it and the methodology, because it's going to give the best results and help people, which is why we do this. This is the end result of like really changing medicine and the understanding. The average person should understand a little bit more about what their options are for muscular health in a safe way. So that's kind of the key. But I'm sorry, ask the question one more time.
Yeah, no, that's okay. So what I'm thinking, so the people that are watching or listening to this, if they're
the type of the location, yes, yes, it's really PTs are probably our number one because they have the people coming in, but really massage therapists, chiropractics, orthopedic surgeon offices, pre and post. So we've had people that work with our device and really helped us develop it that were orthopedic. They were physical therapists, but they were orthopedic specialists in surgery. So they would assist a surgeon in moving the muscles around during surgery and prepping. And so these people are people that really understand, and they really love this because they know wow, this thing really changes people's situation. I'll just give one example of that particular person. When he treats Achilles, there's a lot of different ways to attack this, right? But what we do is go into the calf muscle and loosen that up first. Then we go on the bottom of the foot, plantar and cuneiform, and attack that tightness. We're not even touching. We're just taking the systems around it and relieving the tension and pressure to start with. Now we can start going after the Achilles a little bit. But, you don't have to do that much after you kind of take the thing that's really pulling it and release it. That kind of does a lot of what we need to do. But then the other thing that we would do is balance. Now, the other side's probably not as damaged as the one that's causing the initial issue, but it's probably more extreme than you think. So we're going to always try to balance someone. We're not going to fix this side and let them leave unbalanced. So we want to always try to address both sides to some degree during the therapy to make sure that we're not going to bring this shoulder back and leave this one in the front. We're going to try to address in a balanced way.
Yeah.
So, but okay. So massage therapists, as long as they understand what's going on, it's muscles and, assessing properly are the two biggest things that are going to make people get well quicker.
Okay. So there's a physical therapist that's watching this and they're like, okay, I've done trigger point therapy. I do cupping. I do, scraping with a tool, Graston technique, something like that. What do you do to get them to say, okay, I understand you do that. You got to build trust in them to say, give our machine a shot. How do you help them overcome that maybe stigma that what I do is the best? I'm not sure how this would work.
Yeah, then that's the trick. That's the plate I served up to myself. That which is changing City Hall is not always easy, but this is the first steps of doing that. And I don't know how long it's going to take. I'm 64. Where we're going to go. This is why we also want to educate patients as part of this process, is because patients should start asking for this. Like, well, because you want to put this laser on me, but what about this other thing? I've heard about it's maybe safer, maybe a first step in this and stuff like that. So, but it does take time. It takes, early adopters, people that are technology. There's other benefits though, too. Their body, we know that you can achieve increased doctor referrals and other cash paying patients through, Nextdoor and Facebook ads and things like that. We have proven commercials that we would give to somebody. So there's ways to build your business too. And there's some scales of economy too that are kind of interesting because, we're not out to put people out of work, but as you said, and robots are coming and they're coming hard and fast. And so we have to adapt, and so, and they usually do a better job, but you can operate more than one at a time. So if you just look at yourself as a business owner and you say, I could do this in a 200 square foot footprint, I could have 4 robots and a small little functional range of motion exercise area and a little waiting area. And I could bring in 4 people and I could conceivably run this by myself, or have a little assistant or something come in, and I wouldn't even have to be open every day and stuff like that. It's kind of a neat business model for somebody, you know what I mean? So, and it's real, and, very small footprint. You don't need a ton of other equipment. We just believe in this so much, there's tons of gyms, you don't need to build another gym, if you want to put someone on an exercise plan, they can go find a gym. And I will say one other thing about gyms and exercise too, because it's kind of important, is that when a shortened muscle is shortened, it does not have a very long power band. So immediately it's weaker, way weaker than it should be. We don't have to do any gym work to get strength back. If we can just let the muscle move properly, not only moves properly, but it also takes up energy more effectively, because these power bands are increased and they shorten with shortened ones, where ATP and the mechanisms that provide energy to the body exist. So when it's shortened, there's only so many cross bridges. And when it's lengthened, all of a sudden I've doubled or tripled that. Now take a lady who's trying to get in and out of her car and stay at home, or not be in a walker, or be able to, change a light bulb and stuff, the strength. We don't have to send her to the gym. We can give her increased strength just by making the muscle healthier. But that being said, once somebody gets there and they start reevaluating their goals, it's a great time to reconsider, like, okay, well, what else would you like to do? And maybe, some exercise, more exercise, because now they can do it with joy. When they're like this and it's painful and it's just tough. It's not very fun. But, like Tom Brady says in his video when he's 39, is look at me. An average 39-year-old would go, I can fire that, and he says, some expletive in there. And it's all because his muscles are lengthened. He did not go to the gym much. Yeah. He has rubber bands, no weightlifting, nothing, but he maintains his strength. And he uses the word joy, which is what people can recover, what they can receive with muscular health. Comes joy of movement. It's no longer hurts. It's more effective. I am stronger. I can do more. My goals could change, so So that's something that for the provider to be able to work with a patient, on an ongoing basis. And muscles do shorten again, so it's not like we're going to fix you and you're going to walk out. You're going to come back annually, maybe, whatever, and need more therapy. And you're going to know how to, which muscles and stuff. But that feeling of wellness and that feeling of control over your own life is invaluable.
Yeah. Yeah, you bring up a good point from an ROI, a return on investment. I'm sure it offers that financially because it helps patients. Yes, the goal is to help fix them, but over what they do sitting at a desk, poor posture, working out, if that's their choice, that they're going to beat themselves up. So having your device in the office, number one, takes away the clinician's abuse of their body. So they're not doing that manual therapy as much. That's an ROI that's from an internal, a body perspective. And you have a device that you can turn on to somebody and you could treat someone else in the office while your muscle robot is treating them. So that's a great component. I'd like to ask you from a business perspective, Elliot, what's the focus on with your company right now to how you're getting it out into the public eye and having more people learn about it?
Yeah, so February 12th through the 14th is the American Physical Therapy Association's sectional management trade show. And so we have a fairly large booth there. We'll have 4 robots treating at the trade show. We also have some kind of, interesting LED lights that do holographic things. So then we have them up in the air so that they can be seen from around the trade show. And it's pretty, so the messaging and some cool muscle stuff. So it's, it's kind of an interesting, it'll kind of bring people like, what is that? Because it's newer, technology and stuff, but we are really going to be running a clinic there for robots and letting people experience it at firsthand and asking questions and play with the controllers and see how the assessment tool, how that database, functions and how they could maybe leverage that and so on. So, but it's just a process of just, getting down in the dirt and just, doing work, getting it out there. And, we have another trade show with APTA in Colorado in November, which is what they call private practice, more supposedly the owners and so on. So we'll be at that. And, like right now this week, I'm calling all the APTA sectionals and just saying, hey, we're going to be there. And, we're giving away a free robot certification, that for your resume. So you come by, you scan, you'll get a robot. So you'll take a class with us and you'll be certified in robotic myofascial therapy, so you can take that, do whatever you want with it. So we're just out there just trying to, do what we can. And really, I mean, again, I just want to find ways to reach out to the patients at some point too, so that, people sitting at home just suffering. I mean, I see all these anti-inflammatory pill things on just constantly. They must sell a lot of them because there's no shortage of them. And, they don't really, okay, anti-inflammatory is good, but, certainly going to the root again with basic proven science that's safe. That's, good for everybody. So, and the therapist, it's hard to quantify their body and stuff, but when you can go home at the end of the week and still play with your children and have energy, I mean, these are the ripples of wellness that we hope to sell.
Yeah, I love it because your goal is to help the patient, educate the patient, help the clinician, educate the clinician. That allows those two to be married together. And the bottom line is it's going to make them money. They'll get an ROI on the device and both patient and provider will be happy with the outcome.
I think there's a huge cash paying, there's people sitting at home that are they're not going to go to the doctor and say, because what is the doctor going to give them, some pills or something a lot of times, so there's a lot of people sitting at home wondering, because even chiropractics aren't necessarily known for soft tissue. So you think, well, if I need an alignment, but if it's a muscle or something, maybe it's not something a chiropractor can help me with, but, but chiropractics definitely should be looking at this in terms of a safe, method and a way to grow their business and keep on going, build these people that really are sitting at home, but once a year would probably come back, for a series of treatments, because that's how it works. Yeah, I'm sitting there in the case right now where I've been not sleeping enough. I'm moving robots around. We went to this thing. I got to set up robots and carry heavy stuff. And I need some treatment. I need to sit down and do it. So it's not a permanent fix. It's a great business builder, but it's great for everybody.
Yeah.
At the end.
So Elliot, what's the vision of your company over the next 3 to 5 years?
Well, if we just my main thing is just to touch as many lives in a positive way, and we're talking really patients at that point, but certainly providers benefit, in a multitude of ways too. But really, solving people's pain and discomfort is what we hope to accomplish.
Yeah, I love it. It's a great mission to have. So, been a great podcast so far, Elliot. I do want to say that I'll share all of the links so people can learn more about it. But if you would like somebody that's listening to this or watching, if they want to learn more about you and or your company, where would you want us to send them?
You can go to muscledelta.com. My name, Elliot Raj, is, you can find me on LinkedIn. Again, I've got thousands of therapists and athletic trainers that we're going to start talking to that are linked up with me on there. It's all been all organic too. So, we're just starting to try to talk to everybody this year. But yes, you could come find me at LinkedIn, find us at Muscle Delta. And Muscle Delta, there's a lot of videos from therapists, from patients. We'll have this podcast on there, and then they can call us. My phone number rings to everybody in our system, has IP phone, so it rings into their cell phone. So we're definitely responsive and want to talk to you if you have questions or want to know how this could fit in or see a demo. Just get a hold of us through a variety of different ways. Once you go to our website, you'll see book appointments or call us or whatever you want. So
fantastic. I'll make sure we highlight that when we do send this out. 2 last questions for you here, Elliot, as we wrap this up. Health. You're involved with health. You've had your own problems. You fixed it. You created a device that helps you. If you could give one piece of advice that can affect everyone's health in a positive way, what would that be?
I really believe that muscular health is sort of the root, the foundation of building a skyscraper, either on quicksand or on, bedrock. And the muscular health is kind of that starting point. Anything else you're doing probably is like a Band-Aid, you know what I mean? Now, once we get muscular health, we have genetic things and things like that. We're all different. It's not going to solve everything for everybody, but at least it uncovers maybe the true sources that should be attacked instead of addressing all these symptoms and hoping and maybe creating other things. Once you take a medicine nowadays, it goes into another medicine, you know what I mean? Like it's a mess. So, from my opinion, you start with this, and then you can really see, okay, what is my real issue that, that isn't going to be fixed by this. A lot of people will walk out after, X time, and they'll be like, wow, I have some wellness. Other people will still have issues that, need to be addressed, but it'll be more clear for them,
Okay.
And so I just think this is, all the lasers and different things that are very invasive, they're made in other countries. They're not made here. They're not even necessarily labeled properly in terms of class of use. If we talk about medical classes, we're device level 1, which is the safest device made. Level 3 is the highest in this country, and it means high risk. And that's about 10 to 15% of the products. Level 4 comes from outside the country, and they don't even relabel it, but that means it's in the top 3 to 5% riskiest devices that you can apply to your body. So you as a patient should understand, and I don't believe they're getting that disclosure when they go in. They're like, hey, we got this new laser. Let's just, hand it to my tech and go crazy on you. It could be around your heart. It could be, on your back. This is a lot of problems. So, people should just get an understanding of their muscular health and what safe options and, targeted to your specific muscles. And then you can evaluate and reset goals and see, what medicines I get rid of, or, and it may be more clear to what the issue is to a provider, other doctors then, that because you go in there and you're like, well, all this is wrong. And then they're like, okay, well, let's just start unwrapping this. But we can, in my case, 10 things, 5 to 10 things kind of disappeared that I would have wanted some sort of action on, whether a shot, pill, I would have tried anything.
All with your device. I'm glad that you've created that for other people to take advantage of. So the last question for you, Elliot, is you've been a great guest on the Prime Health podcast. What is your definition of Prime Health?
Well, it's a great platform in educating people. It's definitely coming from a place that we highly respect, the same area that it's driven by educating providers and people on the latest and safest things that you can use. So I just really appreciate you, Derek, for inviting us into this world and helping us with our mission.
Yeah, absolutely, Elliot. So I've loved your story from start to finish. It's not finished yet. That's the good part, is that you've just been doing this for a bit. But coming from your technology background and what you did, you had your own personal problem. You found, through technology and devices to help you. You've got the mission statement of helping patients, helping providers, everybody that's in a better place. So I appreciate that. I always ask people, if there's one thing Elliot said on this, share that with friend, family, or another clinician that you may know, because it's important to share this. We want you to share it with as many people as possible, but at least do us a favor and share it with just one person, because we can change it as we go day by day. From a selfish standpoint, I always say subscribe to our podcast. We'd love to have more subscribers on it. And as we wrap it up until next time, I always do say, remember, true wellness is a journey we are all on together. So whether you're taking charge of your own health or guiding others in theirs, every step forward matters. So we do ask, please stay committed to your Prime Health journey. And again, Elliot, thank you very much for being a great guest on the Prime Health Podcast.
Thank you, Derek. I appreciate it.